So, a heightened ability to absorb and retain the written word at a massively accelerated rate. That's a very unique talent you have there, Lilith said, looking at me very intensely. She almost seemed angry about it. I heard your friend say something about nanites in the brain. Would you mind elaborating? Oh, great. Now I have to explain this to her. Ugh. Once again, it's something that I don't really feel like getting into. But, just for the sake of argument, let's say I underwent somewhat of an experimental procedure in which a large number of nanoscopic robots were placed inside of me and enhanced the functions of my brain. Is that a problem for you? For a moment, she looked taken back. Well, that most certainly is something I didn't expect to hear. Most people might try to keep that kind of thing a secret. Yeah, well, I didn't really intend to tell you, I replied. But my friend Danny opened his mouth, I said, looking back angrily at Danny, as he sort of looked away, scratching the top of his head, obviously realizing that he screwed up. So do these nanites do anything else? Nothing of any import. They're just enhancement. They enhance my cognitive abilities, my eyesight, my hearing, my sense of smell, allow me to control my perceptions a bit better, hone them in or dull them out, neutralize pain if I feel like it. Things like that. Simply controlling the flow of information from my nervous system to my brain. That's already more information than you really need to know. But the cat was out of the bag, so I figured you wouldn't stop pressing unless I told you at least something. So, is that going to be a problem? No, I don't believe so, Lilith said, once again adjusting those glasses of hers. Only one last test, and then this whole ordeal will be complete, and I can take you to see my employer. This one is an audio-visual test, testing your eyesight and hearing, since they're enhanced with nanite technology, which, to be honest, is the first time I've ever heard of anyone trying to do something like that. I'm quite interested to see how it will affect the results, she said, reaching into her bag once again, this time pulling out a small black device, seemingly split into two halves, like there was a gap in the center. She pressed some buttons on the side, and as she did, she pulled the two halves apart, and somehow a thin glass membrane formed in between them, forming a very long rectangular shape. Light skimmed across it, and images began to project within the thin glass membrane. She turned the device around and then handed it to me. As I took it, I suddenly recognized what it was projected on the glass. They were keys, like the keys to a piano. The final test is simple. This is a digital piano device. It's pre-programmed with some very basic songs and teaches them. I've input a very base lesson. The keys will alight, and you will do your best to repeat the patterns, to learn what it's trying to teach you, and act on it. The device will score you based on how well you do, and you may begin anytime you wish, just by pressing the small green button on the side. I looked up at her for a moment, Is she seriously expecting me to play the piano? This is a test? Ugh, how lame. But I might as well just get it over with, I thought, pressing the small green button to start the test. As I did, a little melody began to play. As the melody played, specific keys began to light up, showing me which ones to press and in what order, in order to play the melody. So I began to duplicate as best I could. At first, it felt really weird, like playing a puzzle game for the first time. But then, something hit me, an odd sensation, a strange feeling like my fingers have done this before, and it suddenly started becoming easier to do. "Jax," I heard Titan's voice announce, "I'm registering strange neural activity. The nanites have begun a scan. According to the preliminary scans, they've located a damaged segment of neural tissue, a segment of your brain that's been cut off due to neural damage. Normally, this damage would be irreplaceable, something that couldn't be fixed. But somehow, this piano music is helping by trying to reactivate this segment somehow. It appears as if there is some measure of knowledge about the piano within this damaged portion. The nanites are presently working on a solution, attempting to bridge the gap and reconnect this portion of damaged neural tissue, after which the information which you've lost contact with will be reacquired." Holy crap, I thought. I do know how to play the piano? I stopped playing for a moment, focusing on Titan's words. A damaged segment of my brain? She can reattach it? Wait a second. Would that be my memories? The ones from before? She can bring them back? I mean, that would answer so many questions, but also, it might raise a bunch too. The nanites have created an effective bridge. Bridge will become active in 3, 2, 1. And just like that, my entire head started reeling. I stood up from my chair, grasping my skull as hard as I could. The piano falling to the floor at my feet. I stepped on it as I started to stumble, falling to one knee, even shouting out in pain. My head was throbbing. It was like the worst headache I had ever had times 100, like someone was pouring nails into my head and shaking it. And just as fast as it started, it was over. My head stopped hurting, but everything wasn't the same. Suddenly, it all came back. I could remember it. Remember everything. Every moment of my life that was stolen away from me, including the face and name of the man who stole it. And suddenly, I looked up at the woman sitting in the chair in front of me and knew exactly who she was. I did know her. We had met before. Lilith. I can't believe that I forgot Lilith. That I forgot everything. The more the thoughts came back to me, the memories flooded in, the angrier I got. Enraged, furious. I clenched my fist so hard that I could swear I was gonna break my own hands. "Alexander," I said aloud, looking at Lilith sitting in her chair. "What?" she said, starting to get a frightened expression on her face. "Where is he?" I said, walking closer, grabbing her by the arm. Where is Alexander? How do you know Alexander? Let go of me. I remember Lilith, I said, looking her in the eyes. I just remembered everything. Apparently, those nanites in the brain got a bit of a jump start when I started playing the piano. They found the section of my brain that had lost connection, and they fixed it. I remember everything. My mother, my father, you, my brother, and more than anything, I remember Alexander. It was him. He's the one who sent me to that hellhole, and he's going to pay for it dearly, I said, grasping her arm tightly, a look of absolute focus on my face. I have never in my life wanted to kill someone as much as I want to kill this prick.